Cegorach, the Aeldari god, brought back Roboute guilliman to save the Aeldari. I'm going to go over some lore that shows this. First, a little background. Cegorach, who is served by the harlequins, is the last surviving and free Aeldari god. The others were eaten by Slaanesh, locked in Nurgle's garden, that's Isha, or shattered as with Khaine. Cegorach's agents are always moving amongst the Aeldari and humanity for some mysterious goal, which fits his trickster god persona. So what pieces does he slide into place to bring about the return of humanity's primarch, and how does this link to his plan to bring hope to the Aeldari? First, if this video whispers to you of enjoyment like some Slaaneshi follower, then give it a like to help the video stand out. And I want you to know that this idea came from a too good to not be true Reddit thread, which I'll link down below. Full credit to them for the idea. I'm just presenting it to you for our mutual pleasure. First, there is a book in the Black Library where the Aeldari Strand's fate lead to Rana Dandra, their wolf time, the end of the setting sort of situation. Now it's been changed by Cegorach, as he is changing their fate so that Slaanesh will expel all her energies to restore the Aeldari. And there is a harlequin called Silandri Veilwalker, the chosen spokesperson of the Aeldari laughing god. First, the plan unfolds with Belisarius' call on Eriad 4. He's studying Blackstone and Veilwalker appears. She has seen him before at his forge on Mars, but he doesn't remember that yet. There she had convinced him to take his cargo to its destination. The cargo was the armour of fate, the armour that's helped restore Roboute to life. And it's now that Call remembers this incident, this meeting. She also tells Call to not give up, to keep digging, and he realises what Abaddon had been doing, destroying the anti-warp pylons throughout his previous crusades. Cadia is the last to stand. She confirms their importance, and so he goes to Cadia with the armour as Cegorach ordained. Call being there meant that the defenders on Cadia were protected, and this allowed Inari to save them and take them to Ultramar. We later see Roboute speak to Yvraine, who tells him that Inead was involved with bringing back his soul, and Cegorach was involved in bringing back Inead. It goes as follows. Eldrad started the plan. He enlisted the aid of the Harlequin Mask of the Midnight Sorrow, the Laughing God's followers, and together they stole away the fossilized crystal statues of long-dead Farseers from their craft worlds and gathered them upon Cahiria, a moon covered in sands of psychoactive crystal. With his crystal council acting as a hyperspatial link to each craft world, Eldrad channeled the spirits of the Infinity Circuits onto Cahiria. This was to produce a flare of psychic activity bright enough to wake even Inead, but the last intervention of the Xenos hunting Deathwatch shattered Eldrad's plan at the last. Inead stirred in slumber, but did not fully awaken. This ritual finished when Yvraine fell in the arena in Kamara. She would go on to be the emissary of the reawakened god. She got that role as a succubi, i.e. fought in the arena in Kamara, with a patronage from Lady Malice, and Lady Malice is linked to Cegorach. The accuracy with which Lady Malice can predict her enemies' moves borders on supernatural, leading to the belief amongst many of her detractors that she has a degree of psychic ability. However, the truth is that she simply has a mind like a steel trap. Malice is tied to Cegorach. It is said she encountered the god of the Harlequins, who banished her followers and challenged her to a duel of wills. When Malice successfully answered all of the Laughing God's riddles, Cegorach vanished with an amused chuckle, leaving behind a semi-sentient blade and a pulsating crystal, which was the trickster god's own heart. Determined to gain enough power to undo Vect, Malice used the blade to cut out her own heart and replaced it with that of Cegorach. The heart has continued to beat within Malice's chest ever since, so we have a direct, literal physical link with Cegorach and Malice, and she plays that role, introducing Yvraine to the arenas. Yvraine was killed in that arena by a priestess of Moraheg, who has future sight, and made sure that what happened to Yvraine happened at the same time and was linked to Inead. Vecht watches Yvraine in the arena, and the female harlequin Veilwalker appears and says Yvraine must fall to rise and join with Inead, so she knows before it happens about Inead's return and the death of Yvraine. And as we touched on earlier, the harlequins lead followers of Inari to help Call, and the other defenders leave the planet of Cadia when it is so far pushed into the hands of Abaddon. Cegorach the trickster also ensured the Ultramarines primarch could reach Terra. This was by moving Cypher into place, where he could save Vibute, who has been captured by the Red Corsairs in the bowels of a black stone fortress. Cypher encounters Silandri Veilwalker. You've seen her pattern yet. She would aid Cypher to get to the cell Vibute was held in, along with some harlequins who also went, and she also helped them with the route to reach Terra. To quote, "The crusade could not emerge at Terra. Guilliman realised with something like despair, not if it meant allowing Magnus to strike at the cradle of humanity. Yet, Silandri Veilwalker had never intended for them to take that road. Instead, the Shadow Seer revealed a secret that the Aeldar had long guarded, lying dormant for millennia, hidden behind a veil of wards that even humanity's greatest psychers could not pierce. A lonely spar of the webway stretched out upon the border between real space and the warp to connect to Luna, Terra's only natural moon. It was to that illusion-veiled gate that the crusade must now haste." Then as they reach Luna, she helps in another way, as her and Guilliman face a lot of Tzeentch demons under Magnus. The two sorcerers crumpled, and Veilwalker hurriedly began her incantations. The energies around the gateway pulsed and shuddered. The runes on its sides glowed brighter as a keening vibration shook the dark pit. At that moment, battling demigods appeared upon the crater's edge. Guilliman and Magnus, both bleeding from the wounds they had dealt one another. The Primarch's onslaught was punishing, the wounded Guilliman visibly pouring everything he had into his last storm of blows. Veilwalker melted away into the shadows as the Warring Brothers neared the webway gate, still muttering her incantations and waving her staff back and forth. With his back to the gate, the Primarch of the Thousand Suns conjured a wave of telekinetic fury and used it to fling a mass of Space Marine corpses, both loyalist and traitor, at the last few gnolls. They vanished from Silandri's sight, their contra-empiric drag blinking out as they were buried beneath a macabre heap of the dead. The Shadowseer started forward, fearing for the fate of the final act. Then with a roar of hate and rage, Guilliman struck a blow by the avenging sun, sends a shockwave from Magnus, or shockwave powered by Magnus, that races out across the crater and throws Silandri from her feet. The burst of power hurled Guilliman onto his back, blade in hand, and sent Magnus staggering free, back through the pulsating webway gate. Silandri had once thought she'd never reach this moment, but she has one chance, a single moment in which to alter fate. With the final word, she shattered the runestone that glowed hot in her palm and severed the webway gate forever. Power surged. Magnus roared his fury, and then was cut off from Luna, his warriors, and his brother, banished to the depths of the labyrinth dimension. It was then Vibute finally reaches Terra, so you can see all the help Veilwalker gave to the Terran forces to reach Earth. All the things she set in motion at the behest of Cegorach. But why? To create a future that is not their doom. They don't fancy being snacked on by Slaanesh like many around the time of the fall of the Aeldari. So to bring back a Primarch from that time of legend, the heresy, to lead humanity, the strongest contender that could perhaps defeat chaos and thus aid the Aeldari, is a choice that he made. Though of course, the Aeldari being aided by the forces of the Imperium could not be done in the open. So Cegorach uses Aeldari on both sides as pawns to meet this goal, to steer away fate from the Ranadandra, the death of the Aeldari, so that they at least have a little hope and a thin needle that could be a better future for them. If you enjoyed this video on the Aeldari, I've done another one here, check it out.